All right, so today we're going over back thickness. Now what that means to me is we're doing the hard stuff, specifically putting your back in a disadvantageous state, recruiting as many muscles as possible so we really get that 3D look from the side. Because I'm sure you've seen people at the gym where they'll do pull downs and pull ups all day, and yeah, they look great from the front, but you see them walk by you from the side and they completely disappear because they lack that girth to their back. So I'm gonna show you my variations on Pendulum rows. We're gonna go over how to connect with those lower lats more. So if you're ready, let's get after it. All right, so the first thing we got to get into is straps. And the conclusion there is, I don't care how good your grip strength is, wear them. Because even if you can make it through an entire workout and still maintain that grip, you're going to be activating that forearm, pulling through that bicep, and you're not going to be engaging the lat as much as you possibly could if you just had these as basically like a hook and you can pull just with that lat or that upper back the entire time, and you're not focusing on squeezing that handle. You're just hooking around and actually pulling with that lat. Now the reason I love one arm rows so much for thickness is because it's one of the few exercises where you can really focus on the stretch, and to me the stretch is just as important as the actual contraction on these, because I will actively push the dumbbell away, open up that lat as much as possible at the bottom, and really focus on that stretch and stretching to that lower lat. And the other good thing about this is that when you're contracting up, you can really control what part of the lat you hit. So normally with a row, you're kind of stuck in that fixed motion, and based upon how flexible you are is how much you can actually engage your lats. With these, you can pull in an arcing motion down and actually hit that lower lat more than you could if you're just rowing something straight back. Now specifically what I mean by that is most of the time when I see people do one arm rows, they're either pulling too high and they're pulling up into that armpit, or they're pulling right underneath their chest like most people do, which will engage their lat. But I really think this exercise is best just to really focus on that lower part of your lat where it inserts. So what you're gonna do is come back in an arcing motion, and the good thing about that too is not only does it isolate that lower lat, but it really takes the bicep out of it because it's in the same plane of motion the entire time. All right, so next up we got a variation of a Pendulum row, which really isn't anything like a Pendulum row, but again, I've learned quickly in the last couple of months of doing YouTube that if you don't cite the original source, people lose their shit. So I cited it, there you go. But what this really is basically we're doing a nice row controlled from the floor up, holding the top a second, and really fighting that eccentric part of it, fighting it down. Again, resting at the bottom, starting the movement all the way over again. Key here, slow the negative, hold the top a second, really contract that back. Like we talked about before, the reason these movements are so good is because, yeah, they put your back in a disadvantageous state where you have to recruit everything. And your goal is to remain as close to parallel to the floor as possible. If you can get there, good. If not, then you got to work on stretching out those hips. Maybe it's a flexibility with a hamstring issue, but your goal is to be completely parallel with the floor and really control it the entire time. Now, other than the one arm rows, which you're gonna need to do 15, 20 reps with, because I don't care how strict your form is, very few gyms have 200-pound dumbbells. So if you're stuck at 100s or 120s, just slow it down, hold the stretch. It's still worth it to do higher reps with those because it's the only way you can really stretch that lat. But with the Pendulum variation, or what I'm gonna show you next, don't be afraid to do 6 to 12 reps and really push that weight as long as your form's good. Film yourself from the side, make sure your back's nice and flat. As long as you got strong enough spinal rectus and you can kind of keep that back nice and tight and you're not rolling forward, you're good to go. All right, so we're gonna do my favorite exercise for back thickness, which is standing bent over dumbbell rows. Now, the reason I like these so much more is you can actually control how you flex in with those dumbbells, which you can't do with the barbell because you're stuck in that fixed plane of motion. With these, you can bring those dumbbells up and flex around your body, really rotating those shoulders back and squeezing into those lats, really hitting that lower lat. So you can do these in 2 different ways depending on what you're lacking. If you lack thickness from the bottom, then do like I talked about, stay parallel to the floor and really hit those lower lats. If your problem's up top, where you're lacking kind of that thickness through your trap, that rear delt area, then hit on a 45-degree angle and do that same exact motion as you're coming up, but again, it's gonna pull a little bit higher. You're gonna hit that mid trap, upper trap, it's gonna hit those rear delts and give you that lumpy appearance from the side. We want to talk about putting your back in a compromised position to build some thickness. This is the one right here. So we're going to do hyperextensions with rows. So I don't see very many people do this, maybe because it jumps too much in your hamstrings, but I'll show you a way to fix that. And it's just simply by making your feet nice and wide, turning your toes out a little bit. So if anything, it jumps into your glutes, not your hamstrings, because hamstring pain is unbearable. Glutes you can handle. Same principles apply. Keep that lower back safe by contracting it the entire time. Spinal rectus should be nice and engaged. You should never roll forward, and your elbows should be nice and high. So again, you're engaging every part of your back. Now if you start to feel it too much in your hamstrings, just turn those toes out. Open up those hips and you'll feel a little more glute than anything. And obviously not everybody's gonna have a nice wide lower back extension like this. So just put it right on the edges of what yours would actually be. All right, like always, if you like the video, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. One more thing, I'm going to California this weekend. I got some clients competing, so I was thinking about it, leave it up to you. If you want me to shoot like a vlog where I fly in there, kind of go to, I was thinking about going to Gold's Venice, maybe a little bit of the show stuff, kind of that process. Just more of a weekend vlog. I don't even know what to call it, to be honest with you. But if you want me to do that, otherwise, I'll come back Monday, business as usual. I'll hit a couple of videos that I got lined up that you guys have asked to do. So get after it, get growing. I'll talk to you soon.